Marathon Asset Management CEO Bruce Richards here at Post 9. What a treat on a day like today. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So you have been known to dabble in European bank debt.
We have. Just before Credit Suisse merged with UBS, we went out and bought a very significant portion of their OpCo bonds that were very short dated this calendar year because we didn't want to buy long dated. We didn't want to be in Europe, and we didn't want to go down the capital structure in AT1s. So that worked out very well because, as you know,
you were betting on a bailout.
We weren't betting on a bailout. We were betting on this calendar year getting paid par, and we bought that at a huge discount. And so that worked out well because they made a tender for those bonds and are in the process of taking out those bonds. And now it's merged with UBS. It's going to work out quite well for us.
So do you have any of this exposure to the COCO bonds?
No, we've avoided this $250 billion structure, these AT1s across. You know, the biggest banks in Europe are BNP and HSBC, and so they have big size COCOs as well as and the AT1s, and as well as Deutsche Bank. So to put this all in perspective, when Lehman failed, they had about $710 billion of assets, and it was mayhem. Mm-hmm. Credit Suisse has $525 billion of assets, and not a problem at all for it to be merged within UBS. And UBS is such a strong institution, so well run, that just like JP Morgan, very strong institution, the strongest in the world, is able to absorb Bear Stearns, UBS will easily, with the SMB backstop, be able to absorb Credit Suisse. So no problem there. But the question is then to Deutsche Bank, they have $1.3 trillion in assets. So it's a rather large institution, not quite as large as $2 trillion at BNP, but rather large at $1.3 trillion and too big to fail. And so it's a well-run organization. We think management's got a really good handle on it. They today went out and bought some of the second lien debt, the AT2s, and bought that back to redeem it to send confidence out.
But it didn't.
But yet the stock's down and CDS is blowing out.
You know what's interesting about this, though? You mentioned the CDS and the relative size of these people, right? Earlier this morning, we were looking at those 5-year credit default swaps. You mentioned BNP Paribas. The 5-year CDS is at 67 basis points right now. Compare that to Deutsche Bank, which is at 170 for obvious reasons, but even JP Morgan Chase is at around 70 to 80 basis points. So you're talking about this kind of relativity game playing out about who's more exposed or less, and the European banks, for the most part, don't seem to be as effective right now.
We're more focused on the CDS of the sub-debt. The CDS is broken up at Deutsche Bank into seniors, CDS on seniors, which is what you quoted, and CDS on the sub-debt, which is trading beyond 500 basis points. And that's blown out from 200 basis points to 500 basis points. So we're watching CDS, we're watching the entire capital structure, and that part of the capital structure is a bit more relevant to us right now.